from the outside, everybody will hear, because the public address system as put in by Donald is nothing if not ambidextrous, and it will reach into all corners. So don't worry about that. You will hear. In my explorations and research into the history of the Lartigue Railway, I was informed by Jimmy Dinahan, the chairman of the Lartigue Monorail Restoration Project Committee, that the 14th of October 1924, all of 81 years ago, on this very day, was the day when there arrived into Listowel the final Lartigue coach, the final Lartigue monorail coach and train, driven by a man called Michael Hollyhock, whose grandfather Joseph Hollyhock drove the very first train out of Listowel all the way to Ballybunion on the 5th of March 1888. So we are standing here on the 14th of October 2005, 81 years to the very day, if my maths are correct, ladies and gentlemen, after Michael Hollyhock came in here with the very last train. So let us just pause for a few seconds to remember Michael, to remember the original Joseph Hollyhock, and to remember all the workers and all the people who made the Lartigue monorail what it was, because it was their service and their commitment that led to the success of this wonderful project. And we think of each and every one of them today, and may they rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the survivors who travelled on the railway that are joining us here today, we're joined by Alice Bambury, who's here, by Maggie Costello, by John Joe Lane, who's there down at the front, and by Hanny Murphy, who's over there on the left, and also by Willie Keane and by Mrs. Eileen Kennelly, with whom I had a great chat there. Eileen, I think, I know it's not polite to give a lady's age, but Eileen did tell me that she was all of 97 years young. Ladies and gentlemen, will you give a warm welcome to each and every one of them who are here today? You're all very, very heartily welcome. We would also like to give our best wishes to Noreen MacDonald, who is the wife of former Chief Executive of CIE, Michael MacDonald, who is a very special guest with us here today, and Michael Ryan, who is an engineer with Iarn Road Éireann, who did the initial design work on the track. So it's a wonderful, wonderful day for Listowel, and very shortly now, when our official, if you like, side of proceedings in here in this lovely marquee are completed, we'll all get a chance to go out there and welcome the President of Ireland, Mary McAleese, when she makes this wonderful and historic visit to Listowel. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it behoves me well to introduce to you our VIP list of speakers, all of whom you see here gathered before you. And we're going to get the official speeches underway now by welcoming Kerry County Council to centre stage, and in particular John Breen, who's representing Martin Reardon, the manager of Kerry County Council. John himself is the town manager for Listowel, and the manager himself has, due to a family bereavement, been well, he's been forced to cancel his appearance here today for very, very understandable reasons. And John, at a very late notice, a very short notice, is happy to stand in his stead. But can I say, John, before I introduce you, that Jimmy and all the members of the committee and all the volunteers and everybody associated with this wonderful Lartigue monorail restoration project do want it to be known that they wish to convey their thanks to Kerry County Council for having donated the land and the building, all to do with this wonderful, work that we've seen happen here over the past years in this wonderful project, and without whose donation we would not be standing here today introducing it. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, to the first of our official speakers, the Town Manager of Listowel, representing Kerry County Council, John Breen.
agus tá fáilte rót again duine de Listowel ag an am seo agus don O'Call speisialte seo. As Colin has outlined, the County Manager is unavoidably absent. He wished to be here with you to celebrate today. I would like to simply convey both Kerry County Council and Listowel Town Council's thanks to the group, to the volunteers, to everybody who's been involved in this tremendous project, to re-establish what we would see as both the industrial and the transport heritage in Listowel, and to keep it for future generations. A lot of what we've had in the past, a lot of what has been good, we're losing it on a consistent basis. And I think at a time when we hear a lot about the lack of volunteerism, the lack of assistance, the lack of willingness in the country, it's a tremendous boost to see the work that has gone in across a broad range of agencies, particularly with the volunteer work of everybody involved in this project, to bring it to the fruition that's here today. Certainly, I think, given both the Kerry County Council as local authority and Listowel Town Council for the town involvement in donating the land, we're particularly happy that that donation has been brought forward to what we see today, where we have the Lartigue Railway re-established, and where we also have very high quality housing for the town of Tralee. Or, excuse me, the town of Listowel. Freudian today. Could I also outline that into the future, we will certainly, both as the Town Council and as Kerry County Council, continue to support in whatever way possible we can the continued tourist development, social and cultural development of this fine town. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, John. That was John Breen there, the Town Manager of Listowel, representing Kerry County Council. Now, it's my great pleasure now to introduce to you our next speaker. That's Tom O'Donnell, Chief Executive of Tua Piri.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for being late as well, but I just got here in the skin of by the skin of my teeth. Deputies, councillors, Reverend Fathers, ladies and gentlemen. Tugus here, on our stumps of a volar in your Cononian Road Shaw Oscar Goyfield. Tamay kind to Santo Kiri Cho, unfairnetag Banistorok and Kish the leader, E. Kiri Huig. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to be here today speaking on behalf of the board of my company and on the company which administers the National Rural Development Leader Programme and the Rural Social Scheme in North Kerry. Since the Leader Programme was introduced first in North Kerry 10 years ago, this year it has stimulated rural communities into action to develop their own areas and has provided a small injection of grant money that was always seen as a necessary ingredient to promote local development. We have been proud partners with the local communities in Foss in the development of many community initiatives in the area. The money involved in our current programme, which goes from 2001 to 2006, is €3.9 million. And this has leveraged about 3 times that amount, so we would reckon that between 10 and 12 million has been invested in partnership with local communities and other interests in as a result of the Leader Programme operating in North Kerry. Paddy Carlton, who is here, I saw him on the train, I'm sure he's here, he's right by now, and I have shared the same platform on many similar occasions to this. The combination of local communities, Foss and the Leader funding has undoubtedly added enormously to the provision of a huge number of projects in the area and has made places like Listowel more attractive to visitors and locals alike. I would like to thank the Lartigue Committee for giving me this opportunity of speaking on this auspicious occasion and congratulate them on their success with this fine project. I would also like to thank Deputy Deanan, who has worked tirelessly for the success of the project, and to assure him of our continuing support into the future. Thank you all very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador of France to Ireland, Monsieur Frédéric Grasset.
Thank you very much. Just clap my hands in admiration for his French. and also in admiration for the strange system devised by a fellow citizen called Mr. Lartigue some years ago. When I pick the lines of this nice song, I think Lartigue, a Frenchman, devised a strange system. And a train with 2 engines that rode on 3 wheels. Fortunately, he did not design a system with 3 engines and 1 wheel, or 2 wheels and 4 engines. You never know with French, you know. But I think it is quite interesting that this connection has been established over the years, and I'm very proud to be here in this nice town of Listowel. It's my first visit to your country, and I'm very happy that this visit takes place on this special occasion. It is a very special occasion for me, and you don't know the reason why. I can't tell you the reason why, because I was born myself in Algeria, and I have seen what has been left in the desert sands of the monorail Lartigue, the original one. The original one was designed just to carry espartero, which was a desert weed used for cords and everything. And it was quite a brisk business. And the business was balanced because the fuel of the engine was just coal, wood first and coal after. And the engine was designed just to avoid the sands, to go on the rails and to swallow the rails gradually. And I've seen that when I was a young boy, and it was not anymore in service because it has been killed by many things. First, the price of this espartero. Second, the price of the fuel. Then the competition on the road. And on top of that, we have this terrible war against the French colonial system, which I was a representative of course, I do not deny that. And for all these reasons, Lartigue system went down. But it always fascinated me to see this rail up in the desert. And when I see that now, for me, you know that it is a very special thing and a very special memory. I have a second connection also, not with Lartigue, but with railways. As I was explaining to my British colleague here, when I had a few time in a French company when I was studying, and this French company was manufacturing railways equipment. And after a few months there, I was asked by the engineers to just to go through and become myself an engine driver. I did it on a diesel engine. And it was fascinating because my examination went between La Rochelle and Niort, which are 2 small towns in France, and I was dragging 20 carriages behind me. And I was extremely proud to enter the railway station, driving a train with 20 carriages behind me. I can tell you, for an ambassador, it's quite a treat. I think I will not do it here, fortunately. But I want to say, just after these 2 special memories, 2 special recollections, personal things, I want to tell you that I'm very happy that this piece of French engineering and perhaps French fantasy has been brought here in these remote times before the turn of the century. And now it's used for a good purpose. It's good for heritage and tourism. And when you can mix both heritage and tourism, you are on a winning combination. And I think that now you are not anymore bringing any goods, but you will bring people. And I hope you will bring people from Listowel to Ballybunion, from Ballybunion to Listowel, and they will have a good round of golf, and they will have a good dinner here. And I hope that I can do that today. Thank you very much for your attention.
And it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our next speaker, the Deputy Head of Mission in the British Embassy in Dublin, Mr. Ted Hallett.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to be here, and I'd like to thank Jimmy Deanahan for inviting the British Embassy to be represented, not just because of the contribution the British government made to the launching of the line, but also because I'm a lifelong railway enthusiast, so it's a great opportunity for me to come here and see this wonderful project. Unlike the French ambassador, I can't say I have any qualifications to be an engine driver, but I've always wanted to have the opportunity, and I'm particularly looking forward to the promised train ride later on once the ceremony is over. The last time I was in this part of the world, a few years ago, it was to visit the other end of the line at Ballybunion, when, believe it or not, the British Embassy had a contender for the Ballybunion Bachelor Festival. I hasten to add, it wasn't me. I wasn't qualified, as my wife's presence here testified. But we did have a contender, and unfortunately he didn't win. But we had a good time in Ballybunion, and while I was there, I made inquiries of various local inhabitants about what was left of the old railway, and everybody told me there wasn't a trace left anywhere. There was nothing to see. I'm glad to say that information was completely wrong, because I can see there is a great deal of the old railway left, and I'm very impressed with this project, and I'd like to wish the organisers every success in establishing it and bringing it this far, and in its future development. It really is very impressive, and as I say, I'm really looking forward to the train ride and to the future development of the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Ted. That was Ted Hallett, Deputy Head of Mission to the British Embassy in Dublin, and indeed I'd like to take this opportunity, Ted, of welcoming your wife Audrey here to Listowel. Audrey, you're very, very welcome indeed. Nice to have you down with us. Now, we did talk about FOSS a little earlier, and we did talk about the great contribution, both in terms of work and providing craftsmen that FOSS have made to this project right from the get-go, as they say. And it's my pleasure now to introduce to you, representing FOSS, the Director of FOSS for the South of Ireland region, Pat O'Callaghan.
Lord Mayor, Ambassadors, members of your office, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of FOSS, I'd like at the outset to thank all of the people who worked with us on this particular project, the community people in particular. FOSS has been involved for a significant period of time in North Kerry on a wide range of projects, and in recent times the Shanachie, St Patrick's Hall, St John's, the Aberdeen Community Hall are some examples of the type of projects that we have been involved with. I must also thank also Pat Calton, a colleague of mine, who has put some time into this, and I think with the support of the community here in Listowel has endeavoured over a difficult period to put a significant scale project into operation. Particular public contributors also due to all the office members, but in particular to Jimmy Deanahan, who in his own way managed to put the programme in such a competitive format that it delivered the realistic output that we have here in viewing this afternoon. I must say that the expenditure on the project by FOSS, which is just under 400,000, and where 25 people went through and secured work, is very, very important and represents, I think, a significant state kind of investment in a project this size. And you can be sure that the next phase of the particular programme, which is now being talked about, is well under discussion as well. Finally, I'd like to again thank the committee for inviting FOSS to the official opening, and to wish you well, and to say to the people of Listowel, we will continue to work with you, because projects of this nature have a strong tourism and heritage focus, and we wish to contribute in a positive way to the development of these facilities for the people of Listowel and the greater Listowel area. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Pat. That was Pat O'Callaghan, the Director of FOSS for the Munster region.
How you doing, Jimmy? Good to see you. Are you well? And great to see you too. And look at the day you got. Tom, welcome. Good to meet you. How are you doing? Good.
So Pat is in charge of the procedure now from here on.
Well, we don't normally walk on the track.
Story That's some labour of love. We would, of course. The gorgeous guy. All right.
The president will have to go over the steps.
Deputy, when you're ready, you can bring the president.
Okay, the presidential couch. You can come over the stair, President. Martin, you can go down the...
Okay.
So, briefly, because I've just been informed the President is on her way within moments now, I'm going to ask our next speaker, who has made his journey all the way from Paris, representing the Lartigue family, Monsieur Michael McWilliams.
Ladies and gentlemen, find me a Lartigue, said Jimmy Dean TD, and I discovered that TD in those circumstances meant trained devotee. It was a long and interesting and fascinating journey to locate these relatives. I did so. I'd love to take time to tell you some of the interesting episodes on that particular search. One or two highlights I will give you in the hope that I may have time. At the outset, all I had were two names, Charles Lartigue and his brother Henri. I had their dates of birth, their dates of death, and their professions. The internet and search engines, everything else was producing nothing. I came across a genealogical site where you had all sorts of names, and for Lartigues there were 1,000 people. And I said, well, I never get to 1,000, I just have a quick look at one or two of these, and you never know. I came across one which had Henri Lartigue, 1830-1884, engineer with the SNCF, which exactly fitted the only bits of information I had about Henri Lartigue. So I followed that through. I came across someone who was born in 1918, Huguette Sabouret. I said, maybe she'll do for Jimmy if ever I can find her. Anyway, I stuck her name into a search engine, and there was only one response, and it took me to a photograph of Huguette Sabouret, Exhibit A. I discovered that this photograph was taken by Jacques-Henri Lartigue, who was a very famous French photographer. I said, well, it's not curious. He's a famous French photographer. His name was Lartigue, and she's a descendant of Lartigue. It's a pure coincidence that he took a photograph of this woman, or is there some relation? Anyway, I followed that through, and it turned out that indeed there was a relationship. So I then made the hypothesis. I said, maybe Jacques-Henri Lartigue is a descendant of Charles Lartigue. I went along to the French Ministry of Culture, which has all of the photographs of this man. And they said, we think you're right, come back in a week. I came back in a week and they said, yes, you are right. So all of a sudden, there was an interesting connection. That man had one son, and that man, who's called Danny, has two sons. Danny lives in Saint-Tropez. He's 84 years old. He's a very interesting man. He is an artist and a painter. He also has a fascinating collection of butterflies. He spent a lot of his youth and middle years hunting butterflies all over the world. There's a butterfly in France which he discovered called the Black Apollo, Apollon Noir. He runs that museum in Saint-Tropez, very interesting if you're there. His two sons are both artists, painters, cameramen in the French cinema industry, and they both featured in, I'll turn it on this little story, they both featured in a film in 1962 which is well known in France called La Guerre des Boutons. They were 8 and 10 years old, respectively. And I conclude on this little bit of French because most people of that era know this one sentence from that film, which was pronounced by Martin Lartigue. And they know it mainly because there are two mistakes in French. So anyone here who's familiar with French, I would ask them to see if they can spot those mistakes. The sentence was, si je l'aurais su, j'aurais pas venu. Two mistakes. I leave you to think about that and conclude by thanking you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope I haven't held the President up.
Michael McWilliams there, who journeyed from Paris representing the Lartigue family and who is sending the best wishes of the Lartigue family to the occasion and to everybody here in Listowel today. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, can we give a very warm Listowel welcome to a very welcome visitor now to the heart of the kingdom in North Kerry here, to David Trotter.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute delight to be here today. If you can imagine, we do have the diversities in the north and we get wrapped up in our affairs up there, but in Downpatrick we were involved in a very important project, a railway project driven by volunteers, and in that world we were so, as it were, directed to constructing that railway. We weren't looking further afield, but because of the twinning committee we had, the Downpatrick-Listowel twinning committee, our horizons were lifted and Jimmy Deenan appeared on the scene. And we got the invitation, and I was lucky enough to come down here and to work alongside the volunteers. I know what it's like. We've worked on building our railway in Downpatrick. Three of us, all aged gentlemen, physically manhandling the rails and the material to make the railway line, and we know what goes into it. And so I'm delighted to be here today to congratulate the organisation here for what has been achieved. It starts off with a gleam in somebody's eye, and the same thing applied in the north. And you don't really believe from that whenever you describe it. I've spoken to landowners who now own the land upon which the railway run, and of course when you're talking to them you feel as if you're like someone trying to convince them of a religious change. You know, it has to be almost an idea that might ever come into place. But it has happened. It's happened up there, and it now has happened here, and it's just delightful to be here. So I'm so pleased to be here today and congratulate the railway on what has been achieved. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed, David. You're very welcome again. That's David Trotter here, a member of the Downpatrick Heritage Railway Preservation Society. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm informed the President has arrived and is making preparation. Very shortly we'll be moving out, but you've seen him here on stage. Councillor Eamon Convey, the Deputy Lord Mayor, the Deputy Mayor of Downpatrick. Very briefly, Eamon, I know I'm bouncing this on you and I know you probably weren't expecting it, but if we can't have you as a VIP guest without welcoming you officially and hearing from you very briefly, and very shortly we're going to move outside. But Councillor Eamon Convey, Deputy Mayor of Downpatrick.
While on Bigas of Horse Steve, a leg, Hassan Curry, a Corhig and Kolya, while on Lay Scale and Carhilly, a young leaf, Marlborough, Kinyala, Aggie, and New August, and Grossy and Chat. I was Tana Hasorum, Avan Shaw, New, La Birch, the Dini Astu and Paddock. Thanks very much for the invitation to come here. The chairperson, Colonel Boyle, couldn't make it, and she asked me to make her apologies. And I have met many people before from Listowel who come to Downpatrick through the twinning committee, so go to Cave Milam August. Slam.
Councillor Eamon Convey there representing Downpatrick, who of course, which of course has such close links with Listowel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for us to draw an end to this part of our official proceedings. But it's merely a temporary hiatus, I can assure you, because I'm going to ask you to move out now, because within the next few moments we're going to welcome here to this particular part of the restoration project area and the platform itself, Uachtaráin na Héireann.
Oh, very good. Probably, oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together and give a great big Listowel full of us to Uachtaráin na hÉireann, President Mary McAleese, and her husband Martin.
Fine job. Fine job. Love the craft. Craft everything. What direction do you want to go?
Accompanied by Senator Maurice Hayes.
Hello, honey, how are you? Good today.
Distinguished gentleman who has great links with the Listowel. He's a patron of the project here, and he is accompanying President McAleese on our trip into the platform area.
I was expecting you, but to go to the front. This is the woman that drove in it, Annie Murphy from Knocknagoshel.
You did not?
Yeah,
You did.
that's right. Yeah, she did, yeah. And she remembers every bit of it. 93. This is Ned Morrissey. I came all the way from Kilkenny for today.
Good to see you.
He has met every president.
Isn't that something? What do you think of it now to see it? Are you pleased with it? Are you? Isn't it mighty to see it again? How are you, darling? Good to see you. Thanks a million. God bless. Good to see you. How are you?
Hello, Mary.
I know, Mary. It's great to see you. How are all you?
Hello, Mary. Nice to meet you.
Give them all a hug from me. God bless. Good to see you. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is really a wonderful, wonderful occasion for everybody here on this historic day. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, now that she has safely descended, it has come through the media and photographic barrage that constantly accompanies her everywhere. Can you ask you to put your hands together and this time give another warm Listowel welcome for President McAleese. Out around Town Falter Road, August Martin. And I know we're about to move inside to resume our official aspect of the afternoon, but not before we have two wonderful, wonderful gentlemen who are now going to sing the song for the Lartigue project. So we're going to ask Colin and Padraig to greet the President in their own special way, in their own Kerry way, and in the only idiosyncratic Listowel way that has become world-renowned by song. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put it together for Colin and Padraig.
There are railways remembered, both in song and in story, several renowned for romance and intrigue. Think of the Orient and the Western Pacific, but the pride of them all was the famous Lartigue. Lartigue, a Frenchman, devised a train system, a train with two engines that rode on three wheels, balanced on one rail without much assistance, with cabins on both sides to keep even keel. Now the train journeyed westward from Listowel to Lizelton, Francis Road, Afona, and on towards the sea. Then it reached Ballybunion, where it turned on the counter and railed home once more to the banks of the field. A great surge of excitement as the train neared each station. Passengers were surveyed according to size. On the one side the larger sat in much reduced numbers, and slimmer and thinner on the other side. Off o'er the townlands of Dirra and Lacca, at Gortlishkehe stopped short with a surge. A light from your cabins the guardsman requested, the first class to walk and the third class to push. Jackie Ready, the driver, had a generous nature. For a friend he laid a few minutes he stole, just to create a diversion by his Siamese engines, and was eyed in return at Mike the Pie's endless stall. We recall with affection those who worked on the railway, Hollyhocks and Reedies, the Allens and Moores, John Kissan, the switchkeeper, Paddy Boyle at the birdcage, his vision to Vincent Hogarth on the door. Slow was the progress at 10 miles an hour, declining and saying their donkeys possessed no more power. So the end of the railway came with motorized traffic, and rails were dismantled and stations abandoned. But we recall with affection those who worked on the railway, Hollyhocks and Reedies, the Allens and Moores, John Kissan, the switchkeeper, Paddy Boyle at the birdcage, he whistled a signal to close all the doors. The speed of the train was a cause for derision. Slow was its progress at 10 miles an hour. Those on the roadway invited to board her, refusing their donkeys possessed far more power. Now the end of the railway came with motorized traffic, charabancs and buses, there was no reprieve. Rails were dismantled, stations abandoned, but the memories remain of the glorious Lartigue. But the memories remain of that glorious Lartigue.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was absolutely wonderful. That was Paul Kelly there, accompanied by Colm O'Brien, with that very, very special song, a song of welcome to the President of Ireland, who is our very, very special guest here, President McAleese. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to say, welcome Uachtaráin to Listowel on this gloriously sunny October day, and you have no idea what your visit means to everybody here who have been eagerly awaiting you. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I know you really appreciate the fact that the President and her husband Martin are joining us on this very, very special and auspicious day for the town of Listowel in North Kerry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, could I ask everybody who was inside up to 10 or 12 minutes ago to slowly make their way back inside, because we're going to resume our official after that temporary little interruption there, you can go back to your same seats, because in a matter of a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, we will be resuming, if you like, the formal part of the proceedings. And we will be hearing from the President herself. But could I ask the speakers, those of you who were the official speakers up to now, to remain outside, and the councillors who are invited guests here today to remain outside just for a few minutes, please. And if there is any problem, ladies and gentlemen, I've just been asked to mention to you, because there's a huge crowd here, much greater than anticipated, not to worry. Even if it happens that you are, through force of circumstance, on the outside, even if it happens by force of circumstance that you're on the outside, everybody will hear, because the public address system as put in by Donal is nothing if not ambidextrous, and it will reach into all corners. So don't worry about that. You will hear what's going on.
It would be on the official camera. You think the way she's talking, you were bigger, the way keeping the breeze away from her, eh?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, could I just once again ask everybody to move inside, because we're just about to resume. Inside, we're going to resume the speeches in a matter of a couple of minutes or thereabouts. So if we could ask everybody to make their way inside as quickly as possible. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen.
Johnny, old man, you're man.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to make your way inside and to take your seats where we're going to resume the formal aspect of our proceedings with the President herself in the next couple of minutes. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Just a reminder again, we could ask you to make your way inside Quam Chilurime, ASAP, as soon as possible, aussitôt que possible, s'il vous plaît. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Committee saw their years of endeavour and their long, hard work and commitment come to fruition as the project that they worked so hard to bring about was officially unveiled. Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. That was a really wonderful welcome for the President and for Martin to Listowel as she arrived in to join us in you have to say, a rather unusual but lovely way indeed, because the manner of her arrival, I think, marked what this wonderful, wonderful day for Listowel and indeed for the hinterland generally and Ballybunion in particular is all about. And President, we take this opportunity now as we embark on the formal aspect of our proceedings once again, because we have had our speakers, as you know, since about 12 noon awaiting your arrival. But we just thought we'd take this opportunity on behalf of everybody here today, and we're joined by, as you know, families and descendants of the original Lartigue workers, and wonderful ladies like Hannah and Eileen who are here at the front, and John Jones here at the front, who are survivors, if you like, who about the fact that as we meet here on this gorgeous October day, year of our Lord 2005, 14th of October, that it was on the 14th of October 1924 in the afternoon that Michael Hollyhock drove the very last Lartigue monorail into Listowel here, as sadly QED was written to the entire Lartigue Rail project, a project which, as you well know, brought an inestimable benefit to the whole Listowel area, and effectively, I think you'd agree, ladies and gentlemen, put Ballybunion on the map, nationally and internationally and on a global scale as a seaside resort. It would be incalculable in the modern era, I think, to think of the contribution from an economic and tourist point of view that this Lartigue Railway meant to Listowel, to Ballybunion, to North Kerry and to the kingdom generally. And that is why we're here today, to celebrate the work, the hard work, the commitment and the endeavours of so many members of the committee who have made this wonderful, wonderful day possible. And that brings me to our next speaker. As I said, as we resume the formal part of our proceedings, our next speaker is indeed a very, very illustrious gentleman, I think one of the most brilliant Irishmen of his generation, north or south. He's a patron of this project, and his grandfather, in fact, was a carpenter who built the station coaches here and worked on the original Lartigue edifices and coaches and everything that had to be done with in fact lived in the very grounds, I think, if memory on my researches serve. Ladies and gentlemen, I know coming back to this, his native land, he'll need no introduction, but I know you'll give him a very, very warm Listowel and North Kerry welcome. It's the one and only Senator Maurice Hayes.
Well, hard is more an anúir domsa agus cuis mór áthis freisin. Den son chun mór de giliasa uachtarán air an chur an achan na dí más go hoisiid. An lá álingsá a chur tús le ré nua is saoil an Lartigue. Agus the scores is críomh doing freisin the smaoine na díine a bhí gobar an Éireann Road. Iad siúd a bhí a hóga, iad siúd a bhí ag gobar an dréan le Langdó a bheith I dréan. It's a great honour and a great pleasure to be here to ask the President of Ireland to speak to you on this great day, this beginning of a new age for the Lartigue. It's an ashari in every sense of the word. And if I could, for a moment, invoke the spirit of my grandfather, Maurice Nugent, who worked on the building of the railway and worked maintaining the fabric, as Colm said, until the railway went out of existence. And through him, to remember that we're not only dealing with a piece of industrial archaeology, but we're honouring the people who worked on the railway. It was the work of people, the people who worked at the building of it, the people who worked at maintaining it, and the people who kept the thing going all along. And it's, if I may say so, and if I may speak on behalf of the railway children in that sense, I think it's a source of great joy to all of us that the work of our ancestors, our fathers and our grandfathers should be remembered in that way. So it's an enormous honour that the President should have come today to be associated with this, and I now ask her to speak to you.
Mayor Russell, Gwynwishla, Cornshiachas ar Macree, agus ar Freemar Killam Marchin, Bethel Lahar and you, agus Mudge, ag Lanshail, Tauki Nua, Ray Nua, a sail on Chorus Umper Lartigue. It's a joy to be here on this magnificent day. I think when the lovely sunshine is telling us in a very special way how the saints in heaven are enjoying this day, a lot of them, aren't they? And they're blessing it in a very special way, thank goodness, because so much love and passion and energy and enthusiasm has gone in to giving this new life, this new times, this new future to the Lartigue system. A system that is unique in the whole world. Well, you'd expect that in Kerry, wouldn't you? If it had to be unique, it was going to have to be from Kerry, wasn't it? A system that utterly unique, utterly different, very visionary, and brought a lot of happiness, and as we heard, brought a huge amount of opportunity to this area. But then, like all things, it had its day, it had a glorious start, and then times changed. And I'm sure in its going and in its passing, many people thought in its passing, well, that'll be the end of it. It'll simply pass into memory. It'll become a picture on a wall. It'll become bits and pieces put into a museum. But they reckon without, of course, the spirit of Listowel and the people here. And the marvellous group of people who came together to ensure that a different kind of future would be available, and that there would be more than just a museum, more than just a mausoleum, that there would be the recreation, the reincarnation of the Lartigue train, the Lartigue monorail. And to each of you who sat down all those years ago, and I know that it's been a project that's been on the go a very long time, and when you sat down to work out the cost of it, with, I imagine, Jimmy, how much money did you have the first day?
We had absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Not a penny. So, not a penny. So, what are we? We're 1 point how many million later?
1.3.
1.3 million euro later. 1.3 million euro later. Is that not something to be very, very proud of, isn't it? And the amount of effort that went into raising that money, from sponsors through fundraising, all of that work that was done by all of them volunteers. There isn't a single person involved who had to do any of this. They have all got very busy lives, they've all 1,000 other things to be doing. There was neither money nor glory in it. There was just this opportunity to recreate something very, very special and to put a new resource and a new heart, if you like, back into those who represent all the families here, to give them the hope that the day's not over yet. It's not over yet. There is a new day and a new set of stories and a whole new set of memories to be created here. We're very grateful that Ireland produces and that Kerry produces in spades people of such goodness, such generosity, such kindness, such vision, and such sheer determination, such sheer gritty determination. To see a project like this, not just to get it, not just to have the idea, but then to give voice to the idea. And I know too that many people, there are many, many people to be thanked, and I'm sure they will be thanked this day. You know who they are. I thank particularly all those who made any contribution to this day. I know that so many good plans in Ireland could never ever come to fruition if it wasn't for FÁS. They end up so often being the hands of the work. And we're very grateful to them too for the wonderful skill they brought to bear. For the skills that came to us from County Down as well. I know that County Down plays a very noble part in this, which is interesting when you think of the history between Down and Kerry. And but I was not the first person now to mention the Sam Maguire here today. Jimmy Deenahan is a witness to the fact that I did not rub his nose in it. It was somebody else entirely. But anyway. And it was marvellous to hear Morris talk about his Kerry connections and his wonderful Kerry connections. But of course you do know that Morris really is the person that you have to blame very largely for those magnificent 1960s Down wins. He was the chairman of the county board, a great man for building spirit and confidence and faith in a team, and maybe you're sorry that the family didn't stay in Kerry. But on the other hand, the other way of looking at it is that it had to be an export from Kerry that brought to Down the Kerry Bloss on football, and then returned it in spades in Croke Park. Mind you, it seems to have travelled of late to other parts of the north. So, I'm sure you'll be back, won't you? You always are. You always are. That's why it never seems to bother you too much when you lose, because you know you're going to be back the next year again. It makes you such extraordinarily gracious losers, the most gracious I think on the planet. On a day like this, we salute that spirit of Kerry. Just salute it and take great pride in it, tremendous pride in a people who don't know what the word no means, who just get on with things and who have this extraordinary imagination. And it's lovely, I've just come from the Kerry Writers' Centre, from the Shawnee Centre, and just in one of the little rooms that is dedicated to Brian McMahon, there's a lovely thing that I'm going to paraphrase because I cannot remember it exactly, but he says something to the effect of that every teacher should have a bit of roguery about him, because it's in the roguery that a child can expect or anticipate that at any moment, there could be a wonderful instant of magic. And I think that is what's very special about Kerry. There's always a bit of roguery. Maybe more than a bit of roguery. And at any time, there could be just a sudden explosion of magic. And I think that's what we have today, an absolute explosion of magic. And I'm particularly proud that it has the elements of a North-South project in it. I know that Listowel is twinned with John Patrick. And that's lovely too, so that we're all joined and included in on this very, very special day. So to all of you, whether your part in it was small or big or middle-sized, whether you were a person who at the very beginning said, "Oh, don't be ridiculous, you'll never do that," and are here so that the rest of them can say, "We told you so." You've come as a convert, or become a convert, or whether you're a person who from the beginning said, "Well, you know, it's going to be a long journey, but fair play to you, have a go, and we'll back you all the way." Whatever you gave to it, thank you for doing it, and thank you for recreating what is now going to be a wonderful new set of memories for a new generation. And may I thank you also, not just for the opportunity for Martin and I, after all your hard work, to share this day with you, to launch it, to have a chance to travel in it, but may I thank you for all the effort that has gone into this day, and in particular thanks to our wonderful MC, to Colin. Thank you very, very much indeed. And to Jimmy for the support.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to our final formal speaker, and I suppose a man who too has put his heart and soul, along with his fellow committee members, right from day one into this project, who will now take the floor, especially to thank Uachtaráin na hÉireann. I give you Jimmy Dina.
Uachtaráin, a Fartila, Martin, a Gwyn Uashla, Bavalam Weekas O'Cree, a Gabal Lat, a South, the Leonsha Lynn in Node. Last the Rule, Marta on Lartigue, Fé Lawn, Shoal, a Wish. President, you have done an excellent job since you came to the office of presidency. Your warm and informal personality has brought a new inclusiveness, not just to the office, but to the presidency itself. You've represented your office with dignity, both at home and abroad, and also with great integrity. We're all very proud of you, and you're a credit not only to the people of this country, but to the Irish diaspora all over the world. When the President came to office, I remember being in Dublin Castle that day, and she said that one of her main aims during her period in office would be to build bridges. Now, this is another kind of a comparison with the Lartigue. There were a large number of bridges in the original Lartigue. There were 5 overbridges. One of them still survives back there in Tompling Bawn, the other one in Betty Hartnett's land there in Gotnishka and Ballybunion. There were 17 drawbridges, or as they call them, flying gates. They were these ones that flapped down for people to cross over in a donkey's car bringing turf, as you could see there on the little clip at the start of our programme today. There was one river bridge over the Gale out there at Inch near Joe Murphy's, and there was one footbridge at Ballybunion. So for a very small length of track, 9¼ miles, there were a large number of bridges. And just to go back to that analogy with the President and what she's doing, she has created, through building bridges, a whole new inclusiveness in her own community in Northern Ireland and here in the Republic of Ireland as well. We tasted her hospitality on one occasion up in the Oris, and there were people there like Willie John McBride from Northern Ireland, a lot of great sportsmen from the other side of the divide, but we all felt that we were just part of the one team that night when we were there with the President. And I think that's her great strength, that she has really united this country, the people of this country. And that's why her contribution, I think, in time will go down as being very important in the history of the evolution of this country as we go forward. The Lartigue system may have entered into the realms of railway folklore and history because of its elevated track. But could I say to you, President, the fact that you're here today has elevated the Lartigue to a degree that we never thought that would be possible. You have endorsed the monorail system, the Lartigue monorail system, by your presence here today, what was and what will be. And for that reason, it is very important, not only for this project, but also for the future of the Lartigue here, and also for phase 2, which hopefully the President will be back into a 3 years' time to open again. There's an invitation there for her when she has the time. Finally, the delighted that so many public representatives are here today to support the committee. The fact that the Mayor of Kerry is here, Farishta, the fact that the Mayor of Listowel is here, Tom Welsh, and the Deputy Mayor of Downpatrick, Councillor McConvey, is here with us as well. Downpatrick has played a very important role in this project. Before I started this project, I remember going north to Downpatrick with Morris Hayes, and the Railway Society there advised us on the steps we should take. And I'm delighted that both John Noble is here, Chairman of the Downpatrick Listowel Twinning Group, David Trotters, who came down here and worked for a week. He's from, I suppose, the other side of, we'll say, there are no sides in the Lartigue, but he comes from a Northern Unionist background, but it was the first time he was in Kerry. But he has some great experiences of here, and he loves this county. So the Lartigue has achieved already a lot in a very small way. So, ladies and gentlemen, some of you may be familiar with that beautiful song. You'd often hear it on the radio about the 9 million bicycles in Beijing. Do you remember that song? A fabulous song. Well, there are 9 million bicycles in Beijing, but there's only one Lartigue monorail in the whole world. As the song, that line finishes, President, we do really love you.
Thank you very much indeed, Jimmy. That was Jimmy Deenahan there, concluding the formal part of the proceedings here in Listowel this afternoon, and showing, ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll agree, that the qualities which marked him out as an extraordinary captain of the 4-in-a-row Kerry team all those years ago extend to more than just football. Jimmy, well done to you. Uachtaráin, before you conclude your very busy day in the kingdom, and before you leave us, and before this lovely, lovely day that you have honoured us here, us all, with your presence, before it fades into memory and I suppose takes the Worthian route of emotion to be recollected in tranquility sometime in the future, can I take this opportunity, because it means so much to them, and I know it would mean so much to you. We have, as I said, a number of the survivors who travelled on the railway in those latter years, in those mid-years of the 20s here today, and I just, if I may, for a few seconds, just to introduce them to you again. We have Alice Bambury here today with us, and we have Maggie Costello, and all of our survivors are here in the front row area, and I'm sure you'll meet them all. That's Hanny Murphy, you're shaking hands with there now, President. And we also have Willie Keane, and we have John Joe Lane. John Joe is here as well. And we have Mrs. Eileen Kennelly, who's there about 3 or 4 rows back as well. And I know that Alice and Maggie and John Joe and Hanny and Willie and Eileen, who travelled on this Lartigue Railway, will be so proud and so honoured to say that they came to Listowel on this wonderful, wonderful day. And they had the honour of meeting the President of Ireland, President Mary McAleese. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, will you put your hands together to thank the President for having honoured us with our presence. It's been an absolutely wonderful, wonderful occasion when, at about 11:30, many of us might have foregathered on the platform area there, looking ahead to the busy afternoon that was in store, little knowing the absolutely joyful and joyous occasion it would be, not only for the surviving family members of those who originally worked on the Lartigue Railway, but also for those who travelled on the Lartigue Rail project itself. It's been a wonderful, wonderful day when many of us came here together as strangers. But as an old resident of Fanoog said to me at the Listowel races many, many years ago, there are no such thing as strangers in Kerry, only best friends who haven't as yet quite met. Well, many of us, I think, many of us may have thought we were walking in here around about 11:30. Many of us, such as the Ambassador of France, who is no longer a stranger, but is now un bon ami. And we would like to take this opportunity on behalf of all of Listowel and Ballybunion and all of Kerry of inviting Monsieur l'Ambassadeur, accompanied by sa femme on the next occasion, back to Listowel and to Ballyboylan, perhaps for a round of golf. And Ambassador, we look forward very much to that happy occasion. And the same invitation extends to every member of our VIP audience, if you like to call it that, because, ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you are all VIPs here this afternoon. The President has a very, very busy schedule, and already, due to this happy and joyous occasion, she's running quite late. And as you all know, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing she would love better to do than to stay and linger a while and meet each and every one of us. Unfortunately, I know and you know that her schedule does not allow that. It's been a wonderful, wonderful day which sees the Lartigue name and the Lartigue vision and the Lartigue monorail project being commemorated into perpetuity. The Gwino Shugler is a clear is to a Gadi Guglakamid Lakela Arish or an Okoi Chikoi or Mila Mahagin Song Sano.
Yeah, because there's people there trying to meet her.
See all the way from Dublin.
Press the red one.